Hi, congratulations on purchasing from Super Major Ant World one of our small formicariums. Like this. This is a extra small one. Not extra small, I mean the small version, but it's carved for smaller ants. And the colony that I'm going to put into it is the Lasius americanus, which are native to the BC area, and these have all been wild caught here. With the Formicarium comes our starter kit, which includes a syringe, a hygrometer, and 2 test tubes for feeders. So the first thing that I will do, and I did put in before, is the hygrometer, just to get a reading on the humidity and temperature. Now, because it's been in there for a few minutes, I happen to know that the humidity is around 80%, which is just perfect for Lasius. So one of the first things that I do is I prep the Formicarium so that it's going to be ready to receive the ants. So what I do is I put my anti-escape barrier first, which is, for me, extra virgin olive oil. And I will put it around the top, maybe 5 centimeters, and just rub it around. And that's usually enough to keep them contained. You will have to replenish this, of course. I recommend probably checking it every week. If they start climbing up and you see them on the ceiling of this, then you know that your barrier has been breached and that you need to reapply. Okay, the next thing I recommend doing is blocking the hole right here, which typically will already have cotton in it when you purchase it from us, but if it doesn't have, you got to make sure that it's plugged up at the beginning here, so that the ants cannot escape out of there, because you don't want them to do that and get lost, and then they die. Or they can, worse yet, even just move out and disappear into your house, which is not good for anybody, and probably not good for them either. Okay, so I've plugged that hole up, and I've checked my humidity at 78%. That's because the lid was off. I think it was up to 80, which was just perfect. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to load up a water reservoir. So I take distilled water, I fill it about halfway, and then I block it with some cotton. I use a clean device to push this in, and you want to just cover the water so that the edge of the cotton is moist. This way the ants can still drink from it. Okay, I'll place that in there. Next, I'll put a food source, and this is, as mentioned before, hummingbird juice, which is basically 1 part sugar, 4 parts water. And I use distilled water for this as well, just to keep it nice and pure. Let's put a cotton stopper in there as well. And there we go. All ready for them. Okay, I'll place that in. Now let's get our colony. So I happen to have a colony here of Lasius americanus, and there's quite a few ants in here. It's a little bit shy. I could keep them in this test tube even longer. There's brood in here as well. But what I will do, though, is I'm going to place this whole test tube inside the Formicarium, and then the ants can move when they are ready. And the way I do that is, instead of pulling the whole cork out, my corks usually have a hole drilled and I put cotton in there. So what I'll do is I'll remove the cotton and then just place the test tube right in there. And when the ants do decide to forage, they will discover a whole new world, and they will start exploring. And eventually what they might do is move everybody into the actual Formicarium itself. If they decide not to do that, that's okay. The Formicarium is always there for when they do feel more comfortable. They tend to pick what is best for them, so you kind of have to let them determine what it is that they like, and then that's usually all that usually works out the best. When the Formicarium does get a little drier, meaning the relative humidity falls below a certain amount, and for these ants, like falls below maybe 70 or 65%, then you'll notice that the ants will move back into the initial test tube, which is fine. But if you want to avoid that, you can always moisten the Formicarium by injecting water with the given syringe into the watering hole right here. And there's a sponge in there that will retain the moisture for longer, and it actually distributes it through the Formicarium quite well because of what the Formicarium is made of. So always remember that this is probably the most important aspect of ant keeping, in that if their Formicarium dries out, they could perish, which is why I often just leave the small test tube in there. Eventually that will get too dirty and I will replace it. But just remember to know that you have to watch the humidity fairly closely, and apply not too much water at a time, because you don't want to get it too high, because then it takes a while to dry out. But just small increments, like maybe 1 milliliter or something like that, and then see what happens. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is also add some protein just for them when they're foraging to hunt. They have water now. They also have sugar solution. Let's add some protein, because I know that this colony does have larvae. So my go-to for today, I'm going to be using flightless fruit flies. And I happen to have a culture here. So I'm going to add some. And even though these fruit flies are just as big as the Lasius workers, the Lasius can take them down no problem. It's amazing and really fun to watch. These ants are really exceptionally entertaining to watch because they're very active and they're quite fearless. And what more could you ask for in an ant colony? Okay, so that is basically my moving of the new colony into the small Formicarium that we make here at Super Major Ant World.